Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to USVA SOL Review by Standard. We're in for a big unit today. We got lots and lots of stuff to cover, so I'll save my thanks all the way until the end. So without further ado, we have lots and lots of stuff to get through. We have two standards essentially to get through today. So let's go quickly through minority participation in World War II, dealings with prisoners of war, the Holocaust, and the home front during World War II. So without getting too much more into it, let's get right in. So again, we'll go quickly through the pictures just in case you want to take a picture. Go ahead. There's another. Like I said, we're getting through a lot of stuff today. More. Alright, last one here. Alright, let's get right into it. Okay, let's talk about minorities in World War II. African Americans are going to be participating in a lot more numbers during World War II. However, they're still in segregated military units, but basically all by themselves. But they'd rather serve in combat than support roles. They're Americans. They're proving that, and this key moment is going to help them in the civil rights movement. But that's for another day. So all minority military units, the ones that we need to know about. The Tuskegee Airmen, it's an all African American Air Force group that's going to serve in Europe with distinction. They're going to help lots out in the air in Europe. The Nisei regiments, these are Asian Americans, mostly Japanese Americans, earn a high number of decorations. They're winning lots of awards and medals and things like that. Also, we have communication codes of the Navajo are going to be used. The Navajo Native Americans, Native Indians. And this is going to be a big help in breaking a lot of the codes of the Japanese and the Germans, and it's going to help us out a whole lot. Mexican Americans also are going to fight, but they're fighting in non-segregated units. They're essentially seen as quote-unquote equals in terms of the Army, so they're going to be serving in mixed units. However, and this is going to play out for the next few wars that we do talk about, that minority casualties are a lot higher than those of white casualties. It doesn't have anything to do with their abilities. It's just those minority units are usually put into much more dangerous positions. Okay, quickly we'll talk about the Geneva Convention. Essentially, during and a little bit after the war, it attempts to ensure that all prisoners of war are treated with humane treatment. However, that does not happen. The treatment of the prisoners of war, both in the Pacific, of both Japanese, Americans, doesn't matter who it is going to be very deathly and savage. In the Bataan Death March, American POWs suffer brutal treatment by the Japanese after their surrender in the Philippines. Japanese soldiers often committed suicide rather than surrender. That's an honor thing for them. And then the treatment of prisoners of war in Europe is more closely with the Geneva Convention. Much more easy life if being a prisoner of war is easy, but definitely more humane than that of in Asia. Okay, let's discuss the Holocaust a little bit and what we need to know. There's only a few extra terms that you need to build off your knowledge already. Genocide being the first of those. So genocide is the systematic and purposeful destruction of a racial, political, religious, or cultural group. Essentially going after one group of people just for who they are. Okay, pretty easy. Final solution is something you may not have heard before. This is Germany's decision to exterminate all Jews. At the end of the war, Hitler knows he's going to lose the war. He knows that he has not fulfilled his completion of the Aryan race, and therefore he is going to attempt to exterminate all Jews, meaning kill every single last one of them. This is where the mass killings begin to happen on a mass number. Now, Jews are obviously a target of the Holocaust, but there are many other groups that are targeted as well, including Poles, those from Poland, Slavs from the Slovenia area, Slovakia, Eastern Europe, gypsies, undesirable, so these are homosexuals, mentally ill, and political dissidents or enemies, so anybody speaking out against Hitler. Significance of the Holocaust, what we need to know about after the Holocaust is, yes, it was terrible, but also this is the first time in all of history that we put people on an international trial for their war crimes. And we define what war crimes mean, and we put those individuals responsible for their actions during the war. And we don't say that, oh, it was just you were committing or fulfilling an order. This is, you actually did this. You cost us human life. Increased demand for a Jewish homeland, and that is the significance that you need to pick up from the Holocaust. Okay, let's get into the home front and what happens in the United States during World War II. So the United States government is going to be industrially based. We're going to turn many different industries into working for the government, and that is really what's going to get us out of the Depression. Rationing is going to be a big thing. We're going to demand people on the home front to stop eating, stop doing as much as they used to save those for the soldiers in the war effort. War bonds and income taxes were used for financing the war. They said, buy a war bond, we'll give you double your money back in 10, 15, 20 years. We need the money now. We'll give it back to you later. It's an investment in your country. Businesses are retooled from peacetime to wartime production. Car companies turn into tank and airplane companies. All that kind of stuff. All right, what else? Human resources. Women and minorities are going to enter the labor force when white men generally go off to fight in the war. Citizens volunteer in support of the war effort. Many nurses don't work for any wage at all. They're volunteering their time working in victory gardens, in selling war bonds and things like that. Military resources, the draft. Even though it is a quote-unquote popular war, we still are not able to field a full team, so to speak. So we need to get more people in the military. All right, some more things. Women on the home front during World War II. Women are going to be major contributors to the war effort. They, like I said earlier, they are increasingly going to participate in the workforce to replace the men. Rosie the Riveter, that picture, that becomes a symbol for what women do during the war. They are going to participate in non-combat military roles. Essentially, they are not going to be on the front lines fighting with a gun. African Americans are going to migrate to cities in a large portion to get those jobs that white men are leaving to go to war for. They campaign for victory in war and equality at home. Again, still segregated units in the military, still facing massive segregation at home in public facilities and all of that. So they're saying, hey, we're helping the country out. Why don't you start treating us as equals? Okay. Obviously, the Japanese are going to usher us into World War II with the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So we are going to do what's called intern them, or put them in internment camps. Essentially, they are prison camps. There's a strong anti-Japanese prejudice on the West Coast. Many, if not most, of the Asian Americans, specifically Japanese Americans, are going to live on the West Coast. And there's a fear there that they are spying for their home country, quote unquote. And as wrong as that profiling is, it's a legitimate concern by many who lived on the West Coast at that time. Like I just said, it's the false belief that they were aiding the enemy. Obviously, the Japanese Americans living here came here for a reason. They don't love Japan anymore or as much as they used to, but are coming here and are now Americans. So we essentially put them in internment camps. We put them in prison so that we can keep an eye on them during the war, and it makes everybody feel safer. It's kind of sick and cruel for us to think about now, but that is what happened. it affects Japanese American populations mostly along the West Coast. Like I said, many, if not most, of the Japanese Americans lived on the West Coast, and therefore they were set up for those Japanese Americans. Public apology was eventually issued by the United States government, and financial reimbursement and payment was made to the survivors. Now, these were not the concentration camps set up for Jews, Poles, Slavs, and Gypsies in Europe. They were not that bad. They were not set up for death, but they were set up to imprison civilian Japanese Americans. Okay, one last thing here is the media and communications that change. The United States government maintains strict censorship on reporting of the war. We are essentially going to dictate what is told to our country, and this means, yes, propaganda. We are going to tell people what we want them to know, not necessarily exactly what's going on. Public morale and ad campaigns kept Americans focused on the war effort. If you went to a movie, you better bet you're going to watch a 10-minute clip about what's happening in the war beforehand. You're going to hear that on the radio. You're going to see just about anywhere in public life. You're going to see ads for the war. Entertainment industry produced movies, plays, and shows that boosted morale. They are going to be solely based on what's happening in the war effort, and they portray the enemy in stereotypical ways. They present the Japanese as sort of this bloodthirsty person and savage. They're going to make Germans be very loveless and strict, and it's unfair, but it's what happens when a country is at war with somebody else. Okay, that is all I have to talk about. Here is your activity. I've given you a nice little chart to help you out and to sort of synthesize what happened in this standard. So again, I hope this helps, and I believe that it will. Without further ado, I would like to thank you for sticking with me. Kind of a longer standard, kind of long-winded, and very quick in spots, but I hope that it's helping you, and good luck to you on your future endeavors. We'll see you next time.